A więc, drodzy Państwo,
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to start European funds for the Łódzkie region, new perspectives and even better results. The title suggests that the results are here and we can expect them to be even better, which is going to be a challenge. It's the greatest challenge to be better than you can be. The days we spent here during the Economic Forum attest that we live in the times of the revolution. Everything has been changing, a lot is changing, and we want things to change, to improve, to be more comfortable, more modern. We want to live like others, or we want to be those who implement innovation. But it is at various costs that we need to suffer, both financial, social, and all other types of costs. Hence, we need to consider how to do it wisely. And for the revolution we're witnessing to be carried out in an organized way, to satisfy people's needs and to do it in a way rendering even better results. Projects carried out with the support of the EU funds help eliminate differences. It's not only about innovation, such as cars that can fly up to the space, but social innovations related to jobs, to everyday functioning, quality of life and access to services. We must not forget infrastructure. We've got strong presence of representatives of local authorities, which will definitely show that infrastructure is very important. Up to a certain point, we had to invest in it. The priorities might change, but that's the topic of our discussion. I'm Maciej Chudkiewicz, I'm a journalist, and I will have the pleasure to chair this panel. My panelists today include Łukasz Stajoda, Director of the Department of the European Funds for Łódzkie 2027, Zbigniew Sawicki from the town hall in Skierniewica, Paweł Osiewała, Mayor of Sieradz, Professor Justyn Ochocki, Medical University of Łódź, Bogumił Zięba, Innovatica AGV President, and Małgorzata Komajda, Head of Poddębice Commune. Let me start with you, Director, and I'm going to ask a general question. Can you see the results of investments when we think about new perspective, new investments, and what is going to happen? But we want to use what we have done so far. What can we see today? A lot of engagement, first of all, on the side of the beneficiaries willing to acquire the funds because they have identified such needs among their inhabitants. We can see huge needs among entrepreneurs. We talk about modern businesses. We identify their needs and we want to respond to them. Can we do things better? Yes, we always can. It all depends on how carefully we listen to businesses and what information we get from local communities. We want to respond to the needs in order to use the funds better when we talk about roads, railway, innovative industries, autonomous industries that we discussed during the previous panels. We can see companies growing and flourishing owing to EU funds. We can see where the money is invested. We reiterate that we've got plenty of talented people who know how to use the money, but you only need to help them. That's the most important thing, that you want to do it. When you travel around our region to see all these sites, when you see the plaques, the information that certain projects were implemented owing the EU funds, what do you feel? Pride. This is something that gives you a positive stimulus for further action. You can see how the money is spent, Are we there to control? No, we are here to support. Whenever beneficiaries say that there is something we need to face, we try to face it. In our office, there is no such thing as problem. There are only challenges. We face them every day. I want to infect my employees with this attitude because it's all about responding to the needs, and we feel like doing it. That's my experience of a person who does not originate from Łódź. I met two guys leaving one of the tenement houses and asked me, have you got any challenge? So, that's the specificity of the city. I would like to ask you, madam, about your perspective, meaning what we succeeded in and what can we hope for during the next round. The ambitions are high, perhaps higher than the money levels we can hope for. As you know very well what it looks like in practice. When it comes to powiats, we always need to consider where they belong. Everything depends on the manager of the particular municipality. For me, it is very important when we spend the money and use it according to the inhabitants' needs, we need to ask people living in each municipality. The former perspective meant for us the use of geothermal water. Owing to the funds, we established the first thermal spa in Poland and in Łódź, meaning in the Łódzkie region, meaning Uniejów spa. The use of thermal waters in Poddębice, Marina in Pęczniewo is another example. I'm mentioning it because I want to say you can see how EU funds were used in the former perspective to change the landscape of the powiat only some people heard of and nobody associated with a place worth visiting. What is ahead of us is a new perspective that will multiply the previous results. Still, there is a lot to do in various areas of our lives, starting from roads through to high culture. We would like to find place for each of these activities among EU funds. It's enough to take a look at the material on EU funds. We know that Łódzkie supports green transition, supports innovation, supports higher living standards. These slogans mean there is a lot to wait for and to fight for. Summing up what you said is that EU funds help use the already existing potential. It is not that thermal waters occurred together with EU funds because they had been there forever and it was possible to use them owing to the money. Termy Uniejów spa is well known all over the country and people are interested in visiting it. Sorry to interrupt, but there is one more condition we need to remember. In order to use the funds in the right way, we do not only mean the money, but also the people willing to use the money and to implement it. All right, so over to our next speaker. If we have the money, will there be people willing to use it, and what will they do about it? It is enough to look at startups and young people interested in such funds. I mean the number of companies seeking external funding. Whenever we organize international or national startup conferences, one of the methods to finance startups or young people who have the potential for offering innovative products or solutions is to apply for EU funds and to finance innovative projects. We could mention it broadly that we use the potential that we offer innovation, but I would like to give you specific examples and mention the company that succeeded. 3 years ago, we acquired funds for an innovative solution of a forklift truck, 3 tons heavy, with no operator. Technology which has been available for such brands as Yugen, Toyota. Innovatica was among them. I know it's self-promotion, but it's an excellent example showing that you can use EU funds wisely. Whether you call it the investor, business angel, or spiritus movens of the entire project, this way we managed to build the technology that after many years of hard work and owing to the financing, we managed to create autonomous forklift trucks that are used in Silesia and in warehouses in other places of Poland. We intend to sell it abroad, all over Europe and globally. I'm sure there are more people like me. I'm among the group of business people having a business concept. I know there are people who are younger and more talented than me, but we managed to use it, and I think that's the right direction. Right, but once you make one step, you want to move forward. You should never stop. And we want to scale the business up. We want to grow internationally. Me and my business partner would like to find a house in Miami with a crocodile after some time, but that's only a dream. For the time being, we are working hard to build a stable international company based on stable technology. We know nothing about EU funds in Miami. Right, let's focus on Sieradz. Maya, what have you achieved and what do you think should happen within the new perspective? In Sieradz and most local authorities will definitely say so. We can be proud traveling around our region. In towns like Sieradz, we can say we achieved a lot in the last perspective. We revitalized the old town and the Castle Hill. It was about acquiring new investors. It was possible owing to the EU funds and support of the Łódź Special Economic Zone. I have to mention geothermal as well, which is used in a bit different way than mentioned by Ms. Komajda from Poddębice. We used geothermal for district heating purposes. We hope that first households will use geothermal district heating in September. This is environmentally friendly way of heating. There are also some households and kindergartens which use solar systems. Soon we'll install PV panels on the town hall building. Over 80% of heat energy will be derived from renewable energy sources. It means a huge change for the town. We must not forget that in addition to infrastructure, the inhabitants need an argument, an incentive to stay in Sieradz or to come here from neighboring towns or villages. It is worth remembering in culture and art, Sieradz Art Center received funding in the amount of 20 million zlotys, and we also built municipal housing premises combined with domestic funds devoted to construction of the S8 road. We hope that will succeed even more. Sieradz supports the development of high-speed railway and having railway station for the trains to travel to Berlin through Poznań or to Prague through Wrocław. Once we become the center of communication through Europe, many people will visit us. 20 minutes journey to Łódź, 40 minutes to Warsaw. Without the EU funds, we would never achieve it. However, I would like to add one more thing. The new perspective is huge. We are developing and investing. At present, we are concerned about current expenditure, meaning we need to maintain the culture house, we need to clean parking spaces and maintain the roads. For us, this is the major ailment. We have discussed it with the Marshal's office and with the director about the municipal functional area for Sieradz and other towns. We intend to build new bicycle lanes, leisure paths. It's all great and we'll manage.
When we speak that way, so you pose a challenge for yourself. Yes, but we had that today. That's why we are here. And we are a bit crazy in our local authorities. We love our job. We have great people working for the benefit of our inhabitants. That's outstanding what you are saying. I believe that mid-sized citizen towns like Sieradz have for many years been depopulating. There were no perspectives. Thanks to such investments, the fact you can easily leave and come back. You don't need to live in Łódź, Poznań or wherever, but you can stay in Sieradz. You can now do that. And the perspectives for the development of such towns like Sieradz are pretty okay. Yes, I had a very creative question from the CEO of Wielton. He was looking for a new place to invest a couple of years ago, and he asked me, they needed several engineers from Wrocław. I can pay huge money, he says. Just persuade me. Why should I build a factory? What can I give them to keep them here? We can't beat academic centers like Łódź, Wrocław, but we can give a nice place for living for those who enjoy culture of not like the Grand Theatre, but we have cinema premieres in our cinema. We cooperate with the Jaracz Theatre from Łódź, and they come to us frequently. That's a nice place to live. It's close to everywhere. Cities like Łódź are striving for this 15-minute city project. We do have it. We don't need to make it. Please feel invited to Sieradz, and you can come to Łódź in a fast train really quickly. One more thing to tell you. We have companies cooperating with Google, Microsoft, etc. They do very well in Sieradz. They are seated there. They hire several people. Yesterday, I talked to a person who used to work in IT in Ireland. He didn't like it any longer. He came back to Sieradz, and he invited people to work in Sieradz from all over the world. That's surprising. Well, we are waiting for the last opinion, so let's move on to Skierniewice. How did Skierniewice change? What are your plans? Well, I would, just like the mayor of Sieradz, well, as in Skierniewice, we have lots of plagues. And this is the effect of monies used in the recent perspective. In the recent perspective, we opted for the people of Skierniewice to have access to culture, tourism and sports. We are in a beautiful revitalized building. Well, but we also revitalized, of course, to our scale. We have recently revitalized an old military hospital. It was about to be demolished, but now we have a museum there, a museum that we hadn't had before. A museum that is multimedia to such an extent that during the pandemic it had more visitors than in regular times. A delightful building with magnificent surroundings fit in the surrounding buildings. That was from the 2007-2013 perspective. And around there are old military base buildings, now a university. We also have the Culture and Arts Center in Skierniewice. They won 2 projects for EU money that required some creative approach to separate the 2 different projects, but we managed. I may say we have one of the most modern showrooms, exhibition rooms in our region. It's equipped with the state-of-the-art equipment. I cannot even name them, but each performance happening there can be recorded and broadcast from the stage. The center is located on the foundation of the pre-war brewery that used to brew excellent beer, which I have never tried. The foundations were and ceilings and basement were left behind. They were beautifully renovated, of course upgraded. There is an excellent restaurant there, and they serve good beer. Unfortunately, not from Skierniewice. Well, I haven't been there yet, indeed, but there is an exhibition room. And there were several study visits organized by the Łódzkie Culture Center. And the previous project was a tourist project. In the center, we have a tourist information center. It's pretty remarkable with multimedia, souvenirs, etc., etc. And that multifaceted project involves a tourist trail, 20-kilometer long. We name it Apple Track because apple is the fruit associated with Skierniewice. Even the trail is marked with an apple picture. It's around the Skierniewice Lake. We also have an app that guides visitors on the trail and tells about most interesting historic places in Skierniewice. Well, to sum up this local authority section, it's not satisfying fulfilling your dreams about the development of the town that could fear about its future some time ago, but it's back to sort of ambitious to remember what the city used to be like, its cultural development. And the first part, at the end, I have the professor. He will speak about something different, not about local authorities' perspective, not about business. Professor, you are the author of the first Polish drug fully developed in Poland. Could you tell us a couple of words? Because we are thinking how we can use the EU money for that. Maciek, thank you for introducing me. But before I reply to your question, I would like to thank Łukasz for inviting me and for the opportunity to show the drug here. If I go 100 years back, when Albert Burns, an American, graduated from medical and pharmaceutical studies, at that time that was one, he was a lazy man. He didn't want to work as a pharmacist or a doctor, so his ambitions were in painting. But he was a poor painter, so he decided he would collect art. To do so, you need to have money. So he had the simple idea how to use regular silver salt, silver nitrate, well known in ancient time, and he introduced this drug into medicine. He sold his simple method to pharma companies that used that drug as eye drops for children, newborns. That was a huge problem because children, when they were born by natural forces, were frequently infected through eyes, and that frequently resulted in blindness. Thanks to his idea, Albert Burns left behind a collection of paintings that was worth several $100 million. One of the paintings is Cézanne's the mountain of Saint Victoria, which I went to Provence to see the mountain. I thought you intended to buy the picture. And I need to say that the drug includes the silver nitrite that's been used for 100 years. It's not a great discovery by Ochocki, but a sort of replication of history. But you are too humble. If that was so simple, someone else would have invented it a long time ago. Oh, Maciek, I must stress that the new drug, apart from silver nitrate, includes an antibiotic. Where does the idea come from? Well, I received it IV as an antibacterial drug. So I had this idea, if we combine these two, we may get another one that would be safe because it's composed of two drugs. And so that happened. What can you use the drug against? It's a chemical composition, as every drug is, that is highly antibacterial. But you may say, but we've got 100 such compounds. 100, 200, 1,000, I can agree. But this one shows that it breaks bacterial resilience to antibiotics already used. Whether we like it or not, we take antibiotics when we eat chicken, beef, fish. This compound breaks the bacterial resilience to antibiotics. In the beginning, I spoke about revolution, but see, history is happening here. Drugs are developed here that we hope will be soon commonly applied. Challenges, if you could comment on that. Well, trust this drug. Well, we should thank the National Science Center that financed the project of this drug. Perhaps not the project of the drug, but basic tests, the synthesis, physicochemical testing, etc., etc. The testing was carried out in the Medical University of Łódź, but it's not that I went down to the basement and brew the drug. We did it in the university, in our lab, and the National Science Center paid for it. Why am I here? Well, I was kind of invited by the director, who allowed me to ask you a question. Perhaps somebody in the auditorium is a pharmacist, an entrepreneur, a company owner, a pharma company owner, and that would be interested in this drug. Well, if any one of you is a person, I see so many hands. Well, approach the professor. But we keep talking about these EU funds. Director, it's like everybody would like to benefit from that. There are plenty of ideas. We want to expand local authorities. There is business. We need more infrastructure. We want roads. We want sewage systems. It's not completed everywhere. On the other hand, we will no longer build aqua parks because they are very expensive to maintain. We need to move into soft projects. So we keep not just about roads. We want to think how to keep people in the place, to have proper culture, to have a nice and good place for a living. Will we fit it in this perspective?
I can say yes, we can. Responding to all these ideas mentioned by the professor in relation to modern drugs and the use of EU funds, we can still develop and implement our concepts, infrastructure. We can implement circular economy when the production does not leave much waste or semi-finished products that are disposed of afterwards. This is all the component of innovative development or renewable energy sources use. We want to take part in such developments. In the region of Bełchatów, there are lots of ideas related to economic transition that will soon see, owing the EU funds, the transition will definitely happen. I'm sorry, we couldn't hear you. Yeah, go west. That's the direction we should follow. We should develop the region for certification, notification, or any other aspects mentioned during previous panels. If you want to attract businesses to Łódzkie, to produce components, sub-assemblies. Yesterday, during the gala, great companies received statuettes and awards for their contribution to the development of the region as a brand recognized all over Poland, all over Europe. One of the companies awarded yesterday produces forged components implemented in top quality cars. That's the moment to invite people, to let them come to us, ask whether the idea they have is a good idea, whether the direction they want to follow is the right direction. We need to observe the path of sustainable development. Those of you who are online and here as members of the audience, some people ask how to contact you. If somebody would like to make bananas straight, can come to you and you will definitely approach it seriously. If somebody makes such a device for making bananas straight, we can definitely produce it. It's all about the idea behind. If somebody wants to grow their business and contribute to the development of their small homeland, fatherland, we can succeed. We heard about the examples of spas, thermal pools, which are difficult to maintain but useful for the local inhabitants. The money is not so easy to obtain, but very useful. And we are here to help. All right, the question to our next panelist. Regional councils would like to attract corporations and large companies, but companies are born here owing to EU funds. My question to you is, do you feel inferior against the companies from the West, tycoons, corporations, or perhaps you say, everybody out of the way, we're coming? I don't want to talk about inferiority complex. I would like to emphasize one thing. We've got a lot of IT companies in Łódź, which are branches of Western companies. They employ thousands of computer programmers and IT specialists. These people work for the intellectual property of Western corporations and international corporations. Owing to EU funds, we can develop our intangible assets, and the whole know-how stays here. I really do appreciate cooperation with big companies. I'm happy about their presence because they pay taxes here and contribute to higher living standards. But at the end of the day, we need to remember that in order to make our economy more innovative and competitive, the know-how should be built here. This way, since we can use EU funds, entrepreneurs like me can build on licenses, intangible assets, or new products that are manufactured here. And our beneficiaries are here. I would like to say that you mentioned this is not easy money to obtain. I can compare how to settle the use of EU funds. Everybody says that cooperation with investment funds is easier because you can spend money easily. I can now compare the two financing mechanisms. I want to say that in the case of investment funds, they impose corporate rules related to reporting negotiating contracts and so on and so forth. This is no easy money. And since this is public money, certain discipline related to spending and reporting is required. We need to remember that this is common shared money and there is nothing wrong about transparent reporting and spending. Never is money easy to spend when it's not ours. If it's the bank's money, the bank also requires certain kind of security. It's always the easiest to spend your own money, but only few people have their own money. So we should not talk about problems. You answered my next question. However, I would like to ask you now about complexes. Do you have them or don't you have them? No, we don't. I think each of us could be employed by huge corporation. I do not feel any inferior role of my company. My clients compare our offering, our products with those of major corporations. We participate in various fairs and learn that a team of several people can do the same as a huge team. We do not feel inferior. Right, so now over to Mayor of Sieradz. I don't know if I should and can ask you about inferiority towards towns or cities that had flourished in the West. Do you have a vision of what the town should look like? And do you suppose the funds can support making this vision come true? The funds helped our vision come true. We do not have any inferiority complex. We've got partner towns, cities, and some those whom we consider our friends. As a result of what happened here last year, owing to the Marshal's Office, we established cooperation with Kosatynie in Ukraine. 3 years ago, during the Open Air festival, we had visitors from France. They expected carts to travel to help them reach from Warsaw to Sieradz. We showed them around excellent companies, and they were really surprised seeing them. Our partner towns, such as Gaggenau in France and other ones, often ask us to share good practices to learn from. This shows a significant step forward. You mentioned inferiority complex and way of spending money. I can only say that sometimes I felt really bad listening to the European Parliament's meetings when we were called bad managers who don't know how to spend the money. My town is an example of how the money can be spent wisely. The absorption of the money shows we passed the exam. Poland looks different. We can do it, and I am not afraid to say so. Even the short period, the short financing period that has already started will be enough. We've got a lot of people helping us, supporting us, and we, as representatives of local authorities, are also ready to handle it. We'll definitely know how to spend the money. And there are a lot of activities ahead of us that will satisfy the needs of our inhabitants in all areas of our social life. There is a cartoon. If somebody says, "Are you for euro?" Yes, I can take any amount of euro. Right, so that's the strategy you follow. So now the county head, we've got only a few minutes left. A question about ambitions and what would you like to see most?
Bardziej byśmy chcieli, żeby po trochu uszczknąć.
We would like to have different bites from the huge cake, because each piece has something we need in relation to complexes. I want to say we've got lots of swimming pool complexes. We have no inferiority complex, we only have swimming pool complexes, which can be misleading if somebody wants to find the definition of a complex. In the past, we didn't have swimming pools, and that was inferiority complex, and now we have swimming pool complexes. Recently, it has been, I have an earworm, there was a song, My Europe. And the lyric says, my Europe, you don't have to love me, simply like me. We are a part of Europe. We shouldn't consider ourselves inferior to Western Europe. We are a part of the real Europe. We are the same quality European citizens, and we can feel Europeans here at home, because in the old Western countries, with all due respect to other nations and continents, there are many people who had not been Europeans but have become Europeans.
Prezydent w tych.
As we have just heard, we are ready to act and to go. Jadwiga, the queen, was announced the king of Poland in Sieradz, and all dynasties were originated from our families. Yeah, but she was a woman, that's obvious. Yes, there are no reasons to be ashamed of. So let me now ask Skierniewice what your ambitions are. I would like to continue what the previous speakers said. We are ready to act. We are ready to participate in competitions. We would like to complete what has been started. Let me mention pedestrian paths, bicycle lanes from Bolimów to Rawa Mazowiecka. There are only several sections missing. If they were completed, this route would have 50 kilometers one way. But we are ready for new challenges: electromobility, renewable energy sources. Our inhabitants keep on asking when there'll be the time for submitting their applications. We have gained some experience from the previous rounds. Our town uses renewable energy sources, and we think it should use only green energy. We are now waiting for the competitions, for the schedules, and we are almost ready. Okay, so there are high expectations. We'll give the floor to the director for a short wrap-up. And now the last question goes to Mr. Stajuda. We are going to come back to the drug with a very complex name. I would like to ask you, when it comes to innovation, can money help? Maciej, ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy you know what complex stands for. Complex is a combination of metal with organic molecule, and that drug is a complex, means a coordination chemical compound. When I synthesized this complex, a problem occurred when you are conducting in vitro tests. It is active. What happens in vivo when you test it in patients? It took 2 years to argue with the members of the bioethics committee who kept on telling, well, we'll give you anything you want, but we won't give you permit for clinical trials because this is a new drug. And something similar happened to what happened to Łukasz. Somebody wanted to act, and somebody came across an idea to substitute clinical trial with medical experiment. It was only a matter of terminology. Clinical trial is subject to other regulations and requirements than medical experiment. Łukasz had an excellent idea that there is Polpharma in Sieradz who can help us. And that's the answer to your question concerning EU funds. The mayor of Sieradz will get the money from EU funds and will get the permit for producing the drug. Okay, but there is an idea. We have already discussed it with Polpharma. They want to extend their facility and create research and development center in Sieradz. I think that's the right direction to follow. During tomorrow's visit, we can kindle some interest in the solution. And this is Polish capital. All right, so this is the result. The history is happening here. So, Director, a short wrap-up. Complexes, this is a starting point. We have to know how to cure ourselves of them. We no longer think about people, about us being first or second category, but it does not mean we have no ambitions. The fact that we don't want to chase the West doesn't mean that we don't want it to be better here. The expectations are high, and the pressure to succeed is also high. You know, nobody's pressing, but you know, what will happen afterwards? Well, it's about combining EU funds and excellent ideas which can contribute to development. Complexes? Well, we don't have them. We simply respond to the needs of entrepreneurs, local authorities. Whenever we find people being shy and not willing to ask questions, in the past it might have resulted from complexes, but now we know how to demonstrate that our concepts, our ideas, our technologies, pharma, medicine, or autonomous systems can be implemented.
There will be a number of people in this room who will now be working on a huge project that is supposed to help the transition. I mean here the research center, where we are supposed to deal with items of autonomous objects, production of parts, certification, notification, just to create environment for our entrepreneurs to develop, just to build the technological idea here within the region, and that the money we obtain from the European Union is used to work out know-how, the IP. We are to prepare the environment. The rest rests with you. Well, I believe that the region can cope excellently. You can feel and sense it. They are waiting for assistance from different institutions, but they can't wait to start working. We are about to close, and the questions need to be asked in the lobby. Łukasz Stajuda, Zbigniew Sawicki, Paweł Osiewała, Justyn Ochocki, Bogumił Zięba, Małgorzata Komajda. Thank you very much.